A second dangerous mistake when it comes to faith and politics is to oversimplify complex issues, to have an absolute perspective of what is right and wrong, and to be unwilling to question your own assumptions, your own biblical interpretations and theology. And so these two often go hand in hand. We see the world in black and white, and we want the world in black and white. We want simple solutions to complex problems. We want a candidate to tell us in 2 minutes or less how they would solve the Social Security problem, how they would deal with the environment, how they're going to handle immigration reform, what they're going to do in creating national security. You think you can answer that in 2 minutes? But this is what we want. We want 2-minute answers. Actually, we want 60-second sound bites to solve complex problems. And that is dangerous. And there are many people who are willing to give us 60-second answers. And many of us gravitate towards those, towards the black and white. And part of this entire sermon series is aimed at helping us see the nuance between the black and the white, to encourage people to see and look for the answers on both sides, and to find the truth is found not only on one side or the other, but often somewhere in between. So when we do this, we have this idea. We want simple answers, and we tend to oversimplify, and people of faith do this often. Now, I would encourage you to remember that your own views over time have changed. If you're growing in your faith, if you're maturing as a human being, your views are going to change over time. And yet often what we're looking for is those simple views we had when we were 16 years old. Now, I was watching the debates, the Republican presidential debate, where YouTube was used. Now, YouTube is a device. It's an online software device in which people can record themselves and post questions or comments online. And the folks at CNN decided that they would try to draw in more young people to watching the debates by allowing people across the country to submit questions by video on YouTube, and the candidates would answer them. And so in this particular debate, there was a particular question related to religion I thought was interesting, and it captures the essence of this oversimplification that happens for many of us in the faith. It was by a man named Joseph, and he asked the question. It was asked of Rudy Giuliani and Mike Huckabee and Mitt Romney. I'd like for you to hear the question asked by Joseph. Take a listen.
To honor all copyright restrictions, we cannot show you the video clip from YouTube. Let me paraphrase Joseph's question to the candidates. He held up the Bible and asked, "Do you believe in this book?"
Now, if you'd like to hear Huckabee and Romney and Giuliani's responses, I've posted them on my blog site, and you can actually listen to how they responded to that question. But here's the question I have. Come on, Joseph. Is that really all we need to know to decide which of these candidates we're going to support for the President of the United States, if they literally believe that particular book, which, if you notice, was the King James Version of the Bible, which doesn't even take advantage of most of the great scholarship that's occurred in the last 500 years? If you just believe the Bible literally, that's all I need to know. That's not all you need to know. And even when it comes to biblical interpretation, there are a lot of places that are gray, a lot of places where we have to use nuance, and we have to understand the complex ways in which the people thought in the past and how we apply it in the present. And I want you to be people of faith who understand that, who come at this and recognize the complexity and don't look for simple answers to complex problems. You're willing to do some thinking about the issues. Now, when we think about this and the complexity, I find a very helpful way of imagining why gray is important is to look at it just graphically. Sometimes black and white works. I mean, on very simple issues, black and white will take care of it for us, like this drawing on the video screen, a simple black line on a piece of paper. Now, you don't need any gray for that. It's just black and white. It's two-dimensional, and it just is what it is. It's just black and white. And some issues are like that. They're so simple, and there's just a clear right and a clear wrong, and there's no ambiguity or complexity to it. But most of life, I don't think, is exactly like that. I mean, take a look at this photograph. This photograph is a scene of something magnificent right here in Kansas, but it's just black and white, two-dimensional. I mean, there's no gray in here at all, and because of that, it just doesn't capture the reality behind the photograph. But what happens if we begin to add a little gray to the picture? Well, suddenly we can see its beauty. We can differentiate the sunflowers in the field. We can see what a magnificent sight this is because we're seeing shades of gray and not just black and white. And of course we know that really the real world isn't just shades of gray either. It's full of color, full of technicolor. And that's where we find the beauty. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. Yes, some things are black and white, so see them in black and white, but there are so many things that require a willingness to recognize the complexity and the nuances in between. And there have to be people of faith who see that and raise that issue, who look at the questions and the complex issues from this perspective.